Hello, everybody. Welcome to the D-Pad. I'm Rick, as you guys who are sitting there obviously know, but anybody who's watching after the fact, if you'd like to join in on this live, our Patreon hangout that we do every month, head to patreon.com/dpadfm, and you can hang out and chill and stuff, all that jazz. I just put on some lip balm stuff, so my lips are very shiny. The luscious lips. I gotta pout a bunch. I've also got side lighting, so it's bouncing and then going directly into the camera. But yeah, now I'm gonna be fixated on it for this whole thing. So yeah, it's probably just gonna be me for the duration of this tonight. Everybody else has other stuff going on. Excuse me. Sarah is out elsewhere in the state preparing for the camping trip, preparing physically some things at the place we're going to be camping next weekend. Jeff is house sitting. John is out somewhere. Ben, I think, is asleep. So we're just chilling. It's just going to be me tonight. And it will probably... Oh, that's super weird. Huh. That's odd. A lot of YouTube apps outside of desktop and laptop computers have kind of odd ways of handling both live streams and premieres. I'm not really sure why that is. But hello everybody. So for those of you who are patrons, everyone that's here right now is a patron. I think it's our $9 tier. Everybody who's a $4 patron or above gets to have their name in the credits of a video series of their choice. So right off the top of this, I want to highlight that I've decided, I've put a bit of thought into this because it kind of feels a little bit of a bummer that someone could put in $4 and someone could put in $19 and I guess $18. $19 actually does have a difference, but that there's no difference between those in terms of what we give back. So what we're doing is normally you put in $4. It used to be $5. We knocked it down to $4 because Patreon changed how their math worked, and they were taking a bite out of what people put in. I'm trying to remember. It's actually one of the most popular videos we ever did, even though now it's outdated because they backed out on. They were planning to make a change such that essentially that the viewer would be essentially taxed on what they put in, which was a whole thing. And yeah, well, it wasn't exactly pointless. It is, now compared to when it came out, there's not really a purpose for the video itself, but there was a pretty big wave of backlash against Patreon for the move, because it used to be that if you put in, say, $5, I'm going to get my math wrong. This was years ago now. I think it was about 5-ish years ago, maybe 4. It used to be that you put in money, and all of that makes it to everything gets clumped together, and then at the end of the day, the sum total gets taxed, essentially. Patreon takes their cut of the whole group, and then the creator gets what's left, which is fine. That's kind of how a lot of things tend to work, and it's not really a huge problem. They were in the middle of changing it such that for every individual patron, the amount that they put in would have tax applied on top. So if you wanted to put in, I think I forget the exact formula, but I know that if you wanted to put in $1 as a viewer, as a patron, you don't get to put in $1. You put in $1.38. You as the viewer would get taxed on the way in, and then that extra money would go directly to Patreon, and the original dollar that you were planning to put in then goes to the creator. And the idea that they were spinning it as is, that way when you say you're giving them $10, they're actually getting $10, which is true, but they were being they were trying to kind of bury the lead, which is that the only way that you put in $10 is by doing $10 plus a bit more. And at large patron amounts, it wasn't a huge problem because the amount was relatively small, but the problem is it was per transaction. So at $10, not a big deal. It was a couple cents against $10, not a huge deal. But if you were putting in $1, which is possible and is literally the most common patron tier across the entirety of the platform, you would have to put in $1.38, which is like that's and that's every month. It's not just the first time around. So you literally are putting in 38% more just to give a dollar. And there was a pretty big backlash against it. So they scaled it back. They decided not to do that. Now they do a different thing, and I don't remember exactly how it works, but essentially the stated goal for that was also so that you could have people sign up for your Patreon at various points in the month instead of signing up on the 30th and then getting charged again on the 1st and then yada yada, which is like, it's such a minor problem in my opinion. Or there should be a way to set it up so that it's like, all right, when you sign up, it doesn't charge you right away, but it kind of puts you in like the pre-order queue for the next month or something. So instead they like changed it now so that it just, I think anybody can become a patron at any point in the month, and it like staggers stuff weirdly. It still bundles together the money at the same point at the start of the month, but I think it takes it from people at different points in the month. So like essentially it's a little shady. Patreon is basically making interest on especially people who pay for who pay towards Patreon like in the first week or two of the month. They get 2-3 weeks of that interest in their pockets, which is not great, but it's the same kind of thing as like with problems with YouTube. It's like, yeah, there are some issues that I don't love about YouTube, but where else am I going to go? There's nowhere else that's even remotely comparable. There used to be a competitor. Competitor might be a little bit a lofty of a way to describe it. It was intended to be a competitor. It never quite made it there, but there was a group, and we actually met them, which is why it's bumming me out that I can't remember. We were actually planning on migrating away from Patreon to them, and it was like game something. Oh, it's gonna be driving me crazy. We met them at PAX East like 3-4 years ago, and we met them again the year after that, and we chatted them up for a while, and we were discussing like not just hoping to migrate over to them, but also like merch stuff and just kind of chatting up things. I may have a shirt with their logo on it. I'll have to go and dig around and see if I can find it. But is it the end of the video? Okay. To be fair, I haven't looked at that video in years, but yeah, I don't remember. But they unfortunately kind of wrapped up, I want to say about 2 years ago. Things weren't really working out for them. There's a bummer, but yeah, that's the thing. Is like Patreon is definitely like they want to incentivize people putting in bigger amounts, which is like, sure, I get that. As a creator, I obviously would love people putting in tons and tons and whatever, but like it's both. It's ironic. So my dad is a salesman essentially, and there's a certain like craft to sales and like being able to talk your way into a sale and making a sale and kind of schmoozing and all that stuff. And I get it, but it always makes me feel a little bit gross, like doing it myself. And I don't know. It always feels like I'm slightly taking advantage of people or something, and it's just kind of it's just one of those things for me that I got to get over if I want to be able to actually like make this a career. But the Patreon shtick, they want people to upsell and they want people to put in a lot of money so that the things that screw over the $1 people aren't as present and aren't as prominent. But also, they don't really care if they screw over the $1 people because that's where they're making the bulk of their money. So, I don't know. No, I'm getting around to that. But yeah, so as I was saying before, right now the $4 tier, which used to be $5, gets you a credit at the end of a video series. A number of them. There's a few where that's not the case, only because there are other ones where we don't put any credits into, or we put everybody's credits into, such as Hindsight. We put all of our patrons on that. Anytime we do like a major review, we'll put all of our patrons on those. And like there's something kind of nice about being able to both see all those names more often, and also being able to like thank you guys for supporting us. So what we're going to be doing, not this coming month, not in June, but at the end of June, going into July. So this way, people who see this have a chance to, do things accordingly if it matters to them. We're going to be making it so that every $5 is worth a credit, minus $1 out of the whole thing because our tier system is weird. But so for $4, you would get your name into one video, one series. For $9, it'd be 2 series. $14 would be 3 series, and so on and so on, up to a maximum of every series, which is a number that does change. It doesn't usually fluctuate too much, but we are starting to wind things down on a couple series, so that could affect things. Like right now, I think. I would have to go look. I would have to go look at the post on patreon.com/gpadfm, but I want to say we have 10 series that people can get their names on right now. It's around 10. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. But yeah, so that's going to be a thing that's coming starting in July. So end of June, going into July, that's how that's going to be. That's how that's going to be happening. We're going to have to figure out how things work for if a series kind of randomly, if we're switching between things, or if you want to wait for one and then hop into another. We're going to play it by ear. This is kind of a test balloon. We're going to see how it goes, and if it seems like things are generally working fine, then we'll stick with it and it'll be great. I think it'll be pretty good. I think it'll work out pretty well. I'm going to have to redo outros, but I usually do every month or two anyway, just to make the lists accurate. But I think it'll be fine. I already experimented a little bit. I forget if it went up this weekend or not, but for Mega Man Star Force 2 Zerker, we have, I think, 6 people on that right now. I think it's 6. It's either 6 or 8. It's an even number. And we used to have kind of 2 side by side, but some people have longer usernames than others, and it gets kind of hard to squeeze them in there. So instead, we're doing them one at a time, and I changed that around, and it seemed pretty good. Again, we got to kind of play around with it. It's tricky too because there's also a lot of other people who do credits on videos for patrons will either do a scrolling thing. With a spoken outro or something along those lines, or they'll just kind of have everything on the screen together and all of that, and which is good, but it does get tricky to be able to give everyone across the whole channel essentially an equal amount of time, just because our outros are so different, and some of them were made before we even had a Patreon, and we didn't really have that stuff in mind at the very beginning. So we're kind of playing around with it. It'll be very interesting kind of going forward too, as we start dropping more series off and we start doing more kind of not random series exactly, but the ultimate goal of the year of endings is that we can start kind of going, you can't see it in the shot here, but we have a whole bookcase of games right there. And it's not even all the games we have. And I actually had to reorganize it today because I started buying a bunch of game boxes. Because when I was in high school and college, I did the thing where I just want to have all of my DS games. I'm just gonna keep them in a little bag thing. I don't have to worry about all those cases. They'll be so in the way. And then I got myself a little the CD holder things for my car, and I'm like, sweet, I'll put all my Wii games in there. And then we kind of, I grew up and I was like, yeah, those are kind of hard to store when I'm not bringing them to people's houses all the time. It'd be kind of nice to be able to just have them somewhere that's easy to look at and find and all of that. Boy, it'd be really nice if I just had a bunch of game boxes. So I've literally been buying game boxes to replace my missing ones. And I appear to be down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm down to 8 DS games that still need a box. When I started this quest, it was more like 30 to 35. So that's been a whole thing. But regardless, my point being, we have a whole bookcase. I gotta there we go. That's accurate. We have a whole bookcase of handheld and console games. It'd be nice for us to just be able to look at it and go all right, what do I want to play today? Oh, shit, ice hockey on the NES? Yeah, let's do it. Let's play some ice hockey. Just whatever. And honestly, once things are more clear, too, some channels, like, people literally just send games. I don't know that I want to go necessarily that far, because that's it's weird. We've been around for 10 years, but I'm still just like, I feel like we're too small to warrant people actually sending us physical games. We're not going to turn them down by any stretch, but I'm not going to go like, hey, send us games or anything like that. But the point being, it'd be nice to be able to just kind of randomly pick up games and drop them and whatever. We'll still have like a couple series that are kind of our like backbone as far as like reliably consistent kind of content, month to month. But I think like, just off the top of my head, the series that I know will still be going after this year are going to be the Supersonic Let's Play, the Heartless Let's Play, Let's Play Dead. We'll probably, I would say, the Star Force series and some more of the Mega Man post game. Probably like a little teeny bit of Kirby. Really pushing to try to actually finish Kirby this year. Smash Brothers back-to-back, 3DS and Wii U was definitely rough. I think we even had some slowdown with it the first time we did it 5 years ago. But yeah, we might have a little of that there too. But yeah, the rest of the stuff that we have on the docket, like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Pokemon, we're like shedding Pokemon left and right, and it's great. It's funny. I'm in the middle of doing those shiny calculations because, all right, I guess I take this back a second. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee is done. I lost, and it was heartbreaking because it was so close. I went back to watch the end of Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and I have apparently mixed up two different face-offs in my head. So Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire was one that came down to the last battle. It was 4-4, and then I lost the final battle, which was the tiebreaker. I had it in my head that was the one that ended with a speed tie, but it wasn't, and I don't know which face-off it was, and we've done, let's see, how many have we done? I guess 48? I think we've done 48 face-offs, plus a couple extras, so like probably more like 53, I think. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't. If someone out there can remember, I thought that there was like a Farfetch'd and a Lucario or something, which would make me think X and Y, but I don't know. If anyone can remember what the speed tie face-off was, by all means. Yeah. So I'm very kind of at odds, with myself over that final battle, because on the one hand, I think my strategy was generally fine. I mean, just looking at those numbers on the screen, which wound up being inaccurate, it's actually I missed the rock slides in there, which mean that it's actually closer to like 2% odds or something, which, like, there's a silver lining, sad comfort in knowing that, 49 out of 50 of those battles I would have probably won it. It would have at least been way closer for me, if not, making it win. Some of those missed rolls were much more severe than others. But on the other hand, even knowing that, like, I had, the strategy that normally would probably work better on my side, at the end of the day, if you're relying on random numbers that much, you have to account for the possibility that you're just not going to get those rolls. So that's on me. I thought it was a pretty good strategy, and I still think it was a pretty good strategy, but if I'm relying on luck, that can happen. So, bummer. But, boom blocks? I think we actually have boom blocks. I think Sarah has boom blocks. But yeah, so, yeah, the roost spam was definitely something that in the third face-off, it didn't occur to me until I was right there that it was like, wait a minute, I've been overlooking a really good combination here this whole time between agility, because my biggest concern for like Mega Charizard and stuff in the actual face-off was speed. Mega Charizard was fast, Pikachu was fast, and there was nothing I could do about it. And even still, Pikachu had a priority move, so that was a whole thing too. But I had the ability to paralyze, and I had the ability to just heal myself. So the trick was, all I really had to do was throw down poison on the two actual threats, and I could at least wait out a good chunk of that, if not the whole thing, which I wound up doing. Zapdos literally sat there and watched the entire team go down six in a row. I did use Nidoqueen. I forgot that I used Nidoqueen for like one turn. But yeah, that was like, I assumed that Zapdos was too fragile to be out there at the critical times, and the one time I did use it in that face-off, it was at the exact worst possible moment. I got like a mustache hair that's like really trying to get in there. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I actually need to trim this. I look horrible. But yeah, it didn't work out, but I think going forward for these, it does speak volumes that like I need to start getting more comfortable with more involved strategies beyond just try to be fast and hit hard, because it doesn't really work, especially at high levels. And if you don't have luck on your side, you can't be relying on those numbers. So yeah, Zapdos normally Zapdos was not my fast. The problem is the candies, right? Pikachu, no. Mega Charizard was the fastest of the 12. Pikachu was just behind that. And then was my Alolan Persian. It's one of those things where like there's a part of me that feels like a cool strategy, one that would have given me a little bit more of a surprise advantage, would have been to like really not touch the candies basically at all until it started. Like if I started falling behind in battles, or if John started getting too close, then use them. But I kind of was using them a little bit throughout. But the trickiest part, honestly, was just like, because of the candies, it was just really hard to tell without literally just sitting there and looking at a chart of everyone's numbers, like where everyone was. So it became a little bit, it basically made it that like the levels were not a reliable indicator of strength anymore, which they aren't always anyway, but it made it like completely improbable. It like just like not a viable option for that. But that's okay. But yeah, I'm excited for Diamond Pearl. I think that's going to be a really good time. John's excited for it too. Ben even seems excited for it. I think it's going to be a really good, thing to go at. And so we have Eevee is done. Pikachu is now in the post game. Because like I would love to be able to finish it in time. I don't know that I'm going to, but I've been doing the shiny calculations as I've been editing and doing other things. And ironically, I'm actually coming down to the end of Pokemon Leaf Green, Fire Red and Leaf Green, and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, all of which are at the 8th gym or later. So I've got something like 35 videos left to scroll through, and then those are done, which is great because Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire is a colossal pain to do shiny calculations for. I literally had to write like a bunch of JavaScript code just to do the calculations to get an average number of of shiny rolls for hidden Pokemon. So fun story. Hidden Pokemon, the ones where there's like they're in the tall grass and you see like something moving and you have to like sneak up on them, they have a completely different way of calculating shininess. They will first do a standard roll for shiny. So that's easy. If it's not shiny, it then does forced shiny rolls. And the way that happens is it calculates, so it gives you a number based on how many of that species of Pokemon you have seen. Like however many of those you've seen across the entire game. Allegedly seeing them on the overworld actually counts also, but I looked at the raw video and what our DexNav numbers were coming up as, and it didn't line up with that, so I just ignored those, which means the odds are probably slightly, very, very slightly, like hundredths of the percent slightly, more like higher than what mine come out to. But the number that you have, you then multiply by 6 for some reason, and then divide by 1,000,000. And that is the boosted, that is essentially the odds of it forcing that to be shiny. So it's utterly minuscule difference unless you've seen a lot of them, because it slowly rises that number, which is already complicated enough. But then you can also have a shiny charm, which like adds a couple rolls. I think it adds 2 more rolls, so it essentially goes from doing 1 to doing 3. If it is your 50th hidden Pokemon in a row, it'll add 5 rolls. If it's your 100th hidden Pokemon in a row, it adds 10 rolls. Which is all fine because we didn't do any of that shit. We didn't chain hidden Pokemon. We didn't have the shiny charm. We didn't do any of that stuff. The annoying part, and the part that made me literally sit for an hour just plotting this out and figuring out the math of how it even works. So normally you do 1 roll, and it's this weird 6 in a million times the number, and like it's not even a linear thing. Like after 100, it becomes less of a boost. But the point is, you do 1 of these force rolls, except it also rolls a different thing. It rolls a number from 0 to 99, and if it's less than 4, so a 4% chance, there's a 4% chance that it will roll an additional 4 times. So 24 out of 25 times you'll roll once, and 1 in 25 times you'll roll 5 times, which is like this big confusing mess. And I had to write out the formula and do all this other shit. So now it like has this whole thing that it does. It has to run an external program to calculate this stuff. If we do a hidden Pokemon, and it's ones that we have seen a bunch of, and it's a whole thing. I'm very happy to be done with that because I'm sick of. So for Fire Red and Leaf Green, I don't have to give a shit about trainer battles. I just scroll right past those. Those don't matter. The wild battles are the only ones that matter because the trainer battles in Fire Red and Leaf Green don't have shinies. Not that it would matter anyway because we couldn't capture those, but you know, for the sake of going, oh, we finally seen one or whatever. In Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, encountering a Pokemon in a trainer battle counts as seeing the Pokemon. So I've literally got a separate spreadsheet page called Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire search levels that is just a list of all of the Pokemon and how many times each of us have seen it in each of our 2 games. Because that then has to get factored in. I'm so glad that I'm almost done with Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire so that can go away. Because they did not bring that back for Gen 7, thankfully. They did, however, make it so that SOS battles do this weird increase thing, too. So that's going to be a whole different thing. And I'm going to have to like do a different bit of math for that. But it seems like it's less severe, and I'm not going to have to give a shit at all about trainer Pokemon, which is glorious. This is then going to be subverted with Pikachu and Eevee, where not only do chain combos beyond 10 dramatically increase the number of your odds of a shiny, but literally every Pokemon that spawns is its own shiny roll, and you can see it on the map. Like, you can see the Pokemon on the map in Sun and Moon, but you can't tell if they're shiny until you go into battle. So because I can't know whether it's shiny or not, I have to ignore those because there's literally no way to know. With Pikachu and Eevee, you can know, and that's how we identified the shiny Magmar. So like, I have to add those. So it's going to be this like, Sword and Shield, not Sun and Moon. Yeah. So I'm literally going to have to just sit there and go, spawn that. That's a new spawn, new spawn, new spawn, new spawn, new spawn. It's probably going to wind up being pretty inaccurate, but like right now, one new Pokemon in Alpha, the last possible shiny Pokemon in Alpha Sapphire increased the odds of a shiny by a little under 0.02%. We're at 1,658 Pokemon, so like it's not going to be a thing that is making a huge impact if we're off by a couple, and that amount decreases over time per Pokemon, so that's not like a thing that's going to be a whole issue. My point being, Eevee is done. Pikachu, we're in the post game, and we're kind of down to the last handful of episodes for that. We've got a bunch more. We've recorded 12 episodes already. We've only got a few more to go. So those are coming down to an end. Sword is in the post game and is really down to just a little bit of post game tourism before we start doing Isle of Armor. So that's also like probably less than a week's worth of episodes before we're done with the core game for Sword. I, on my side of things, am almost done with Fire Red, Leaf Green, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire for the shiny calculations. That feels great for me. And the Pokemon Yellow stream, the Pokemon Yellow Nuzlocke stream, is going to end this Tuesday, where we are down to Giovanni, Victory Road, and the Elite Four, and then Cerulean Cave. I would love. I'm hoping to be able to figure out a good way of doing the Professor Oak glitch after all of this. The problem is it's a very specific glitch, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off without like doing like item duplication glitches for the sake of like rare candying something. Because the way that you do it is by there's an element of you have to do a bunch of stuff with a Pokemon with a special stat of 226, which is very high. It's basically like level 100 legendaries only. So that's going to be a bit of a trick. So that's gonna be a thing. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do Melmetal. I've been keeping an eye on Pokemon Go the last like week, to see if I can get us a Meltan at least, because John doesn't have one, I don't have one. Just trying to see if we can even get a Meltan, just to show it off. I really hate the existence of Meltan, and especially the existence of Melmetal. That really bothers me, that it's a Pokemon that you can only catch in Pokemon Go, and you can only evolve it in Pokemon Go. That's kind of a pain in the ass. Oh, they give you that if you connect Pokemon Home. Hilarious. I'm sitting here going like, fuck, I hope I can catch one in time. That's hilarious. All right. Well, that's good to know then. But yeah, Melmetal is just not gonna happen. So I'm not too bummed out about that. It's a really dumb. It's like taking all the neat-ish things about Victini and it's like the inverse of that, where it's like, oh, it's this total pain in the ass, and you have to work your balls off, and it's a whole thing. So yeah. Anyway, it's a Gen 8 Melmetal that can't go to Let's Go. Wait, what? Why? Why would they do that? That's... you gotta be fucking kidding me. That's so stupid. Oh my god. Well, maybe I'll convince the guys to throw it into Isle of Armor or something. I don't know. I'll give it to them, and then you can name it something dumb and throw it in a box and never use it. But yeah, so that was my outstandingly roundabout way of talking up all of the Pokemon stuff. All of the Pokemon games that are running right now will be over in their current forms this month. Not this month, sorry, it's May still. In June. I guess Sword postgame might actually be over this coming week, as will Yellow. So by the end of June, all of the currently running Pokemon games that are actually active and putting out episodes will be done with their current state of things. We'll be moving on to Isle of Armor. We're going to be doing the Sun post game. That's probably it for now. But yeah, so that's Pokemon. Thousand Arms continues. I hope you guys have enjoyed the wall of sound that has been Thousand Arms and Resident Evil these past the past week or two. The very end of the session of Thousand Arms that ended with today's episode was right before the start of Resident Evil. We used John's extra mic because we ran out, and Lindsay's sound quality is decidedly different from everybody else's. I hope that's not super distracting. Oh no, honestly, if anything, I mean, I regret wrapping hindsight into the meta the way that I did. So it was supposed to be a 2019 sorry, not a 2019 series, a 2020 series, and some of those shots that we did for the trailer were shot in November and December 2019. And I was super pumped for being able to get everybody like situated with those, and we're kind of having trouble getting like a few of them. Like we couldn't get Lindsay's done in time, and then she went on a trip, so we had to wait. And we're like, all right, you know what? The holiday season's already crazy enough. We're going to hold off on this. We'll do it for the 9th anniversary in April. Buy ourselves a little more time. We'll do stuff then. And then, you know, in February, John and I were talking about like Pokemon Pikachu and Eevee and Robot Rumble and a bunch of stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, the next time John's over, we can do that, and that'll be cool. So he headed back to California, and then, you know, the pandemic happened and everything fucking stopped. But yeah, the time frame that I had set down for Hindsight literally had an entire extra year that I was planning to use it, and that year vanished very quickly. So I'm going to do some really cheap shit at the end of Hindsight to wrap it all back in. I kind of know how I want to do it. I at least know part of how I want to do it, so it at least kind of makes sense. But yeah, there's actually, it's funny. There's a bunch of like things at play in there, kind of story wise, that still haven't really come to light yet. So I'll let that kind of play out. But it does feel very fitting for sure. After all that's happened in the world, so thematically it all feels a little appropriate, which is something. But yeah, so Thousand Arms is continuing. We've already started recording some other games for it. So we'll be able to hit the ground running once Thousand Arms wraps up. We're still like setting up some like live filming things. I'm still writing pieces of the story for it. Although it is decidedly a lot harder to make it work now since it doesn't tie into things the way that I originally intended. So who knows? So that's going to be a whole thing. Resident Evil, since I brought it up, we have recorded another. We have another week and a half-ish worth of Resident Evil so far. We recorded the first 10 episodes in one night, and then we recorded another 8 last weekend. It's been great so far. My personal take on it so far is that it is not as scary as Resident Evil 7, at least so far. I'm curious to see how how the rest of the game kind of feels, but at the very least, this first bit is tense but not scary. 7, I was like the whole time. But 8, I would say, is less scary, but it's still very enjoyable. And I am digging it so far. I'm very curious about it's a lot heavier on the body horror for sure. So like, I guess the reactions are less constant, and a little bit sharper. Like it's a little bit more like really, really high points, and then the more like, you know, dulled down kind of breathing moments. So yeah, Resident Evil, that's going well. Age of Calamity, hoping to get back on its feet this week. It's been kind of tricky to do timing wise. We kind of had this thing happen over the last like month or so where we just kind of had everybody show up at the same time for recordings, which is fun because it means a lot of us get to do a bunch of stuff together and have a big party style, you know, fun time with it. It does make editing longer. 6 or 7 mics on a video definitely makes each video a lot longer to edit. But you know, it's still a fun thing, and it seems like people are having fun. It does also mean that we record less, just because if everybody's together and everybody's got a set amount of time they can do stuff for, it means that, you know, if Jeff is here and he can do like 3 games worth of time, and if Lindsay's here and she can do like 3 games worth of time, and CJ's here and he can do like 3 games worth, it's probably going to be the same 3 games. And then at the end of the, you know, weekend, we've recorded 3 games as opposed to 7 or 8 or 9, you know, get everything done. So sometimes things kind of fall by the wayside. And Age of Calamity has been one of those. It's also not hooked us particularly well. Like, the story is fine. The action has gotten very repetitive. The gameplay is, I think, smoother overall. Not the frame rate, but the gameplay itself, I would say, is a little smoother overall than the original Hyrule Warriors. But it hasn't really gotten its hooks in us. So, but we are in the last, like, third of the game. I think we're just getting into kind of Act 3 at this point. We should be getting back into that this week. Hopefully we can get it wrapped up. I don't know if we'll get it done in June, but I feel pretty confident we'll get it done. If not in June, then certainly in July. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. It's weird because I don't know what more I would necessarily want from it. It's possible that it's just a style of games that doesn't really work for us. So I don't know. Hello, Sea Dude. Hello. I don't know. It's one of those games. The original Hyrule Warriors 2 was one that I definitely had a lot more fun playing on my own, off mic and off camera, than I did during the series itself. Just because, like, I don't know, you can those battles do get long, and it can get a little exhausting trying to keep commentary going when there's not a lot to talk about. And the play-by-play gets a little old after a while too, so it's sort of difficult to juggle all of these things. It's also part of why Sarah and I usually don't try to do that game by ourselves, just because it means that if we're both concentrating on the action, it's even harder to be able to have a conversation going along with that. So hopefully we'll have that coming back this week, and we should be able to push through to the ending. There's and then we're down to the last CDI game after that. Very excited about that. It's the one I know the least about, and ironically is essentially a rotoscoped Zelda 1 for all intents and purposes. It's a top-down adventure game, so that's going to be really, really interesting. I don't think we're going to do any of the post-game for Age of Calamity. The post-game for that involves, essentially, they do the Blood Moon. Basically, like, reignites the plot missions of the game, but with harder enemies. I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're probably going to play it through to the end. We may just end it after the final boss, as opposed to messing around with it too much more, just because it is kind of dragging a bit. So we don't want to, like, have that go on forever if we're not really, like, jazzed up for it. Let's see. Sonic has been kind of off and on as well, but we should be coming back to this. We should be coming back to that this week. This coming week, rather. We are almost up to 50 episodes of that, and we're still not done with Shadow. I think at some point I made a guess that we were going to do somewhere between 80 and 90 episodes for it, and I think that's still probably accurate. So we'll see how that goes. I think we're just about done with Shadow, but we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I might look up to see, like, what is needed for if there's, like, a bonus credits thing or something, similar to how we do Kingdom Hearts, which is also coming down to the end. We are kind of in a post-game zone with Birth by Sleep. Last time we beat the final boss, but we have some post-gamey stuff to do. We're headed to the Mirage Arena. We've got 2 super bosses, one of which is... So one of them unlocks when you beat the final boss. The second one unlocks when you beat the first super boss. We're not committing to necessarily beating the second super boss, but we're certainly going to try. And apparently you can cheese the first one. So if standard technique doesn't really do it for us, then we'll do the cheesy strategy just to see what the second one looks like. Let's see. Yeah, Tatsunoko was one where we again couldn't really manage to fit it in a lot of times, and it was one that was kind of low on the totem pole. Speaking of which, Namco Cross Capcom is over after about 30 streams. I think it was a little under 30. 92 hours, 94 hours, something like that. Very long game. I'm glad that it's over. I didn't dislike it, but it definitely was also like, we were just at it for so long. It was like the better part of a year for sure. 28, that sounds about right. But yeah, so like that one is done, and we'll be returning to the stream format for Project Cross Zone later, which I actually recently got in. I recently ordered it and its sequel, so I have those. I actually had to buy a box for Project Cross Zone because it showed up without a box to bring it full circle back to 45 minutes ago. But yeah, so that's all stuff. Tatsunoko versus Capcom is over, and we are going to be replacing that. I don't think there's any reason to keep this one concealed. We're going to be replacing that with Rockman 8 FC, or Rockman 8 Famicom, or Mega Man 8 NES, no matter, like, there's a bunch of different names for it, but Mega Man 8, the NES demake, made by the same guy / guys. I think it's one guy who did Rockman 7 FC. Looking forward to that. It's a nice return to form. We're going to be returning to, on the same day, we're expecting to return to a classic Mega Man game and a classic Kirby game, because we're doing Kirby and, well, okay, not classic Kirby, but Kirby, with Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which I'm hoping is better than Kirby Canvas Curse. I think the bigger screen is going to help. I think the just improved tech of the Wii U screen is going to help. Yeah. Also, I'm excited about I love the kind of claymation-y sort of style that it's got going on there, so I'm very curious to see how that looks. But Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, I don't know what to expect with it. I don't think it's a secret that we as a team were not really in love with Kirby Canvas Curse. So I'm hoping it's better. I'm not gonna dismiss this one outright or anything like that, but we'll see. We might play around a little with 2-player, but if it's a second player that literally just doesn't even use the game's mechanics, then I think we'll probably try to avoid the 2-player one, except for maybe one video, just because I feel like, I don't know, that's the thing, right? If we're playing a game outside of the way that it was kind of built to be played, I feel like we're kind of breaking, we're at that point, it's not really the game experience anymore. It's kind of we're avoiding the game experience. It's the same thing we did with Mega Man Star Force 2. We got a blank card, and we used it for Dragon Sky. Not Dragon Sky GX, the super broken card we got way too early in Star Force 1, but you've beaten Dragon Sky, and he's given you his basic bitch card. It's still strong. It's still our strongest card, but it's way less just blatantly broken than if we did Dragon Sky GX, which is hey, do you want to do 400 damage to the entire battlefield? So yeah. But yeah, so I'm curious about Kirby Ranvis Curse, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. We'll see how it goes. And then after that, that is the last, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is the last full-blown Kirby game that we haven't touched at this point. Everything after that is downloadable titles, games that we've already played at least a bit of. I think the one exception to all of that is Super Kirby Clash, which is kind of an expansion of is just Kirby Clash. I guess there's also Kirby Fighters 2 now, isn't there? Kirby Battle Royale. Okay, yeah. So it gets more wobbly, I guess, after that. But the point being, we're gonna be kind of breezing through a bit quicker from there, but there are a lot of downloadable Kirby games for sure. I've got a bunch of them already set to go. Kind of play that by ear. I think I would agree that Epic Yarn, we probably should have played Epic Yarn, and then in my own time I would have played through the main story of Extra Epic Yarn, and then when that came up, done some of the things that were new there. But Extra Epic Yarn was brand new right as we got to Epic Yarn, and it just kind of felt right for the time. So, but regardless. But yeah, we have a couple of games that are coming up before we quite get back to Planet Robobot. I'm actually going to pull it up just because I want to take a look at it real quick. Oh, no, I lied. Planet Robobot is literally the first thing immediately after Rainbow Curse. So yeah, we'll be looping back to 2016 very immediately after that. It's actually funny that we had started the Dreamy Let's Play, and then I forget if Kirby Planet Robobot had been announced at that point. Really, maybe the smarter move might have been to do Planet Robobot and then start that, though it came out almost simultaneously with when we started the Supersonic Let's Play, so that's its own whole thing. But anyway, But yeah, so that's going to be its whole thing. It's hard to imagine a world after Sonic 06 right now, too. It just seems like this monolith, which is fine because it's been fucking hilarious so far. We are somewhere in the ballpark of an hour and 20 minutes of loading screens across 48 episodes, which means that on average, each episode has somewhere in the ballpark of 2 to 3 minutes of loading screens, which is absolutely crazy. No, I guess it'd be less than. I guess it'd be less than that for an average if it's 48 episodes. So a little under 2 minutes, which doesn't sound like much. There's some episodes where there's like 4 or 5 minutes in the episode, but yeah. So let's see. What have I not talked about? Actually, that's kind of it for our main games. Actually, Final Fantasy VII has been on the back burner just because that's one where we want to have a bunch of people for it, but when we've had a bunch of people, especially right now, we've been like balls to the wall on Resident Evil. And again, we've kind of had this thing where everybody's kind of shown up at the same time. So it's really hard to justify Final Fantasy VII, which is kind of meant to be dessert, when we do have other stuff we really kind of need to be getting done. But, you know, yeah, we'll probably, we're going to see what feels right when we get the other blank cards, because there are some others that we're going to be picking up. There's, I think, 10 of them all together, so they're not all going to be Dragon Sky. I think we are going to use 4 of them for Dragon Sky, I think, but Colors is not pretty much right after 6, after 06. Let me double check. We actually have quite a lot between Sonic Colors was 2010. So there's a lot between Sonic 06 and Sonic Colors. I'm looking forward to Sonic Colors. I've heard really good things about it. And actually, Sonic Unleashed also, I've heard good things about the Werehog portions of the game. So I'm certainly interested in those. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming before that. The list is large. Though, thankfully, outside of, I think, Sonic Chronicles, nothing is likely to be this long in Sonic, like, ever again. Like, they might be 50 episodes long for some things. They're not going to be 80 episodes long. I think, yeah, Chronicles is before Unleashed. So that's also before Colors. Sonic Rush Adventure is fairly close. There's a handful of those, but is Unleashed really long? Okay, so yeah, I know very little about it, but yeah, we'll see how those go. Okay, so let's see. I'm just kind of like looking down some other things here. Okay, another big-ish announcement. Oh, I actually need to update some things on my side here, because I have my own little calendar, and I forgot to tweak a piece of it. But okay, so we don't have a concrete plan yet. I say we, it might be me. I might just pull rank and do something myself for the second 10th anniversary, which is on June 20th. It's the 10th anniversary of the very first video we put online, which was Sonic 1, Episode 1, as part of Sonic Week. I think it was called Please Don't Sue Us Screw Attack, when it was uploaded to YouTube like 2 months later. We used to host them on our own website, but June 20th is the Let's Play birthday of the D-pad, and that is going to be on a Sunday next month. And I don't know what I want to do for that just yet. I've literally been mulling over the idea of just pulling out some old Rock Band stuff and just doing a big old come and copyright mute me Twitch Rock Band marathon thing. I don't know, but regardless, when I have a more solid plan for it, I'll let you guys know. Probably in like 2-ish weeks. But the other big thing is I'm doing another thing for the 10th anniversary, which is I am taking a week mostly off from videos altogether. Sarah and I usually go see her parents and go take a week out on like a lake somewhere in Massachusetts or Connecticut. And usually the start of that vacation is Father's Day, which is always basically right on top of June 20th, which has historically made anniversary specials in June very difficult to like do and finish and stuff. Not anyone's fault. It's just like really, really unfortunate timing on my part. I'm not gonna lie. I've brought my laptop to the cottage and done stuff there. The Dreamcast video I literally finished at like 3 in the morning while looking out at the, well, it was entirely dark out, but what would be the lake. Yeah, and it's literally Father's Day this year. So like, yeah, I don't know. But there will be something. It may be live. It might not be live. I don't know. There are also a handful of like leftover specials that I haven't put up that I'm going to see if I can get there. I'm going to let those be surprises for like what specifically there are, because there's a couple that I've talked about that were supposed to go up as part of the April anniversary, and there's others that I haven't, said anything about, and those I'm going to hanging down there. But I'm not going to be doing the daily grind for that week. I'm going to be off trying to relax, and whatever I've got by the time I leave on either Sunday night or Monday morning is just what's going to be there. And there are going to be no like normal weekday videos for that week, except potentially Resident Evil Village. And that really depends on how many we have. And those will be, I'll be able to edit those far enough ahead of time. That's not going to matter anyway. But outside of that, there's not going to be any standard videos. Any videos you see are going to be specials. I'm not going to be streaming, obviously, that Tuesday or that Thursday. Oh, whoops, I deleted the wrong thing from the thing there. Haha, so no Spider-Man. And then we'll see where we are for Tuesdays as well. But, yeah, so that's what's going to be happening. The week of June 21st to the 25th is my week off, which is a nice inverse for Sonic Week back in 2011. So let's see. Other things. This coming weekend, not this weekend now, but next weekend, Sarah and I are going to be camping along with Jeff. So we're not going to be recording that weekend. So there's a good, we're going to try to record as much stuff as we can this weekend, but there's a good chance that that first week of June is going to be a bit light on videos. Just giving you guys a heads up, like Resident Evil and Let's Go are definitely going to be good. We've already got half of that next week recorded before going into this one, but we'll see how things are going for that. The weekend after that is PAX East, and I'm going to be trying to do as much coverage as I can. Technically, I could have put an idea in for a panel, but every time it comes around, I draw a big blank, and I doubly don't think that I would be able to both, A, come up with a good idea for one, and then be able to organize it within the next week and a half. That's a lot, and I've been trying to think of a good panel for like a month now. So here's to coming up with something for 2022. So yeah, but I'm gonna be doing as much coverage as I can. I'm not sure what the format is going to look like, if it's functionally going to be like a mini digital E3 kind of situation or what. So we'll see how that goes. And then E3 is the weekend after that, and that's looking like it's going to be a pretty huge set of announcements across the board. The rumor mill is chugging away hard that there's going to be big announcements from Nintendo, big announcements from Capcom, big announcements from Sega, big announcements from Square Enix. There's a lot that is allegedly coming down the pipes. So I'm going to do the best I can to cover as much of it as I can. I'm really excited. There's also, I guess, supposed to be some big Sony news too, which Sony could probably use a break here. They've been having some troubles so far, but yeah, it's going to be a lot. Yeah, that's basically like the last year and a half of the clogged pipes are all going to burst forth at the same time, and we're going to have a huge rest of 2021 into 2022. I would say that everything is fair game in terms of predictions. I don't think anything's off the table really. The only like size stuff that's entirely off the table is like they're not going to announce a new Smash game, but I'd be real surprised if they didn't announce another fighter or tease another fighter or something like that. So yeah. So why do I have that written there? I have something written down on my calendar, and I don't know what it means, so I'm going to keep it to myself. There's also actually this coming Wednesday at like, I think 11:30 p.m. I'm going to be streaming. I'm going to have to talk with Jeff and Dave and them and see if I can lightly boot them off around 11 or so, because apparently Square Enix is going to be having a very special Dragon Quest digital event thing. And, one second. Yes, I'm doing the Patreon Hangout. Not at this exact moment, no. In a few minutes I can. Sarah would like my help in checking for ticks. She was doing stuff in the woods all day today, further out in Massachusetts. But Dragon Quest is apparently having some kind of big digital thing for its what would that be, 35th anniversary? That can't be right. 35th? Yeah, 35th anniversary. And something big is allegedly going down. It could be a Dragon Quest 12. It could be a Dragon Quest. My hope, especially after Dragon Quest 11, was it Echoes of an Elusive Age? I would love Dragon Quest 3 in the 11 engine. I would doubly love the Alfgard trilogy 1, 2, and 3 in the 11 engine. I would be delighted. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to hop on for that. And we can see, excuse me, oh my God. Diet Coke is just like, hey, do you want to like almost burp several times in a row? But yeah, Dragon Quest, that's this coming Wednesday night. I think it's 11:30 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see. I want to like the 1, 2, and 3 ports on Switch, but they are doing that thing that Square Enix does where they port a game and they make it uglier, and it really bums me out. So, I don't know. I hate the font thing that they do. They do the font thing where they decide to pick the most boring font. It's like Arial, and they just use that, and it's like, guys, why? But anyway, streaming things. The Multiplayer Sunday crew are still doing Barrow Trauma, though I think they're getting near the end of that. Monday, Dave and Jenny are doing It Takes Two, probably the last stream of that, and then he's gonna jump to something else. Tuesday, I am finishing Pokemon Yellow at long last after 5 years. Are there SNES versions of Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3? That's pretty cool. I know I own the Game Boy ones, and those ones are great. And I also own Dragon Warrior on the NES too, but I don't have 2 or 3 in that way. Wednesday, Divinity Original Sin 2, which is also probably coming down to the end this week. This week in general is like the week where all of our streams are ending one after the other. Probably not Spider-Man though, which I'm doing on which I'm not doing Thursday because I'm going to be off camping. So not this week for Thursday, but I'll be back for probably the next week, though I have to take a look at what PAX East's Thursday schedule is. If they're doing a Thursday night thing, then I might wind up doing that instead of Spider-Man. It's going to be a little touch and go. The next month is going to have a lot of events going on, and I'll do my best to keep you guys posted on what's happening there. But yeah, I think that's all that I've got for you guys tonight. I'm working on, I do have one really cool video that I have not said anything, that I've said nothing about the details for, and I'm hoping that I can get it done within the next like 2-ish weeks. I've been working on it for a while. We're gonna see how it goes. If I don't get it done then I'll get it done a little bit later in the summer, but we'll see how it goes. I'm really excited about it though. Hopefully it takes some folks by surprise. That'd be nice. I actually have a couple like specific eventy style videos that I'm working on as well, which are going to be fun to try and pull together. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I think that's it as far as like scheduled stuff. Happy to do some questions, although I probably need to bounce off of here in the next couple minutes so I can help Sarah out. I mean, I've been trying to get it done for like a while now. I mean, the whole thing I've been trying to get done for like a very long time at this point, but I've been trying to get it done over the last couple months in particular, and I haven't had enough time to like really sink my teeth in and finish it. But especially if camping winds up meaning a light week for the week after next, then I think that'll probably be a good week for me to like finish it. But we're at least going to try with Mirage Arena. We're going to see. No promises on those. We are trying to see, as many of the super bosses as we can. But at this point, it's The real goal is we just want to get the extra ending, and doing the Mirage Arena at least helps towards that goal. But we're not gonna like put hours and hours and hours and hours and hours into like making a point of seeing every other boss that they've kind of stuffed in the Mirage Arena. So we'll see. But so yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We're gonna be recording some, if not tonight, then tomorrow, and we'll kind of play it by ear. But yeah, I think I will probably just wrap it here. It's a little bit on the short side, but it's also just me, and the update has been mostly, hey, a bunch of stuff is ending now / soon. So I think that's a pretty good note to go out on. Thank you guys very much for hanging with me tonight. We'll catch you. The next one of these is going to be on Friday, July 2nd. We were originally going to do this on the 18th, but that feels really early into the month. Like, even this is a little early into the month, but I'm not going to be here next Friday. So rather than getting it as early as June 18th, we're going to do July 2nd. That'll be a good like wrap up for June and all of the various events things that are going on, because it also means that it'll be after the camping weekend, after PAX East, after Dragon Quest, after E3, after whatever that mystery thing is, after I'm back from the lake. I think that'll be a good kind of like bring things back together and you know, hit the ground running for the rest of the summer. So thank you guys very much for hanging out. Anybody who's watching this after the fact, you can go to patreon.com/dpadfm to see how you can hang out with me live to do these, along with whoever else happens to be around for a given one of these. Thank you guys very much again for like the 4th time. I'll see you guys later. Bye.